And welcome to the CAS Autumn Event 2020 and today's Cyber Safety webinar with a host of excellent presenters who you can see on the screen now, hopefully. My name is Will Franklin and I work for Computing at Schools in collaboration with the NCCE. I'll be the host for today's session. I'm also joined by Suzanne Cray, who will be moderating the question window. We've got two hashtags for today's event. The first one is hashtag CAS Autumn Event, and the second one is hashtag CAS Virtual 20. So please do tweet about it. We're going to kick things off today. I'd like to introduce to you Rosie from the National Crime Agency.
My name is Rosie Cole. I'm one of the education officers at the Child Exploitation Online Protection Command of the National Crime Agency. You might have heard it called CLIXYOP as well. And I lead specifically on the content for our early years and primary age young people. So just to give you a little bit of an introduction to CLIXYOP, CLIXYOP was formed in 2006 and actually joined the National Crime Agency in 2013. And our remit is to handle the most serious cases of child sexual abuse and exploitation, with a particular focus on online offending, although not exclusively online offending. We also deal with contact offline offending as well. Within CLIXYOP, it's a multidisciplinary child protection agency. So within CLIXYOP, we have law enforcement officers, social workers, education officers like myself, intelligence officers, and many more. And we all work together strategically to try and tackle child sexual abuse and exploitation. So in this really brief presentation, I just hope to give you a bit of an overview of young children's lives online at the moment, and also take a look at some of the resources that we have available that you can use within your settings to help keep younger children safer online. So younger children are increasingly spending more time on the internet, and actually over 50% of 3 to 4 year olds go online for nearly 9 hours a week, and most of this time is spent either watching videos or playing games online. 21% of 8 to 11 year olds now have a social media account. Facebook is still the most popular social media account, but Instagram and TikTok are rising in popularity, particularly over the last few months during the COVID pandemic. I'm sure you've all seen the rise in TikTok videos, so that's definitely becoming more and more popular as well. There are lots and lots of positives for children, for younger children being online, and at CLIXYOP, one of the things we really try and provide is a balanced view of being online. So we try and look at the positives of online life as well as the risks as well. So for younger children, some of the positives of being online is that the internet can provide so many opportunities for creativity, for learning. I know that obviously a lot of schools over the last few months have been doing more learning online, for playing, for having fun, for keeping in touch with family and friends. So there are lots and lots of positives, but of course, being online, particularly as a younger child, does come with risks. So most apps, sites and games do actually now have functions where it is easier for younger children to be contacted online by people that they don't know offline. It's also easier for children and young people to be encouraged to share personal information about themselves. Because the internet is an open and public space where anyone can create and upload content, which is one of the amazing things about being on the internet, it also means that it's easy for younger children to come across inappropriate content, which might make them feel scared or concerned or worried or confused. Sometimes it's as easy as just a click of a button and something, a video could pop up that's inappropriate for a younger child. So we know that younger children going online, and I think the statistics that I've mentioned show just how important it is that we are thinking about online safety for younger children and as early as possible, and actually having those conversations with children, with younger children at an earlier age about online safety. It's never really too early to start talking about online safety with children, and that's something that we try and promote in our resources and our training that we do at CLIXYOP. So at CLIXYOP, we run our CLIXYOP Safety Centre, which is a reporting service. And through this service, children and young people can report online sexual abuse directly to CLIXYOP. This service is primarily for children who don't necessarily feel that they have a trusted adult that they could go to, or they don't want to report directly to their local police, but they do need that immediate support and advice around online sexual abuse. So that's primarily what the CLIXYOP is there for. It's not an anonymous service. when children and young people report, we do ask them to provide their contact details and their name. And the reason we do that is because obviously safeguarding is a priority for us at CEOP, and we need to make sure that that child is safe, so it isn't an anonymous service. Once children make a report to CEOP, a child protection advisor will risk assess their report as low, medium or high risk, and will then contact their child as a result of where they lie in the risk assessment, and make a plan to support and to help that child. So I'd really encourage you to let the children that you work with in your settings aware that CLIXYOP is there for them if they are a victim of online sexual abuse. And actually the CLIXYOP button that you'll see on the slide at the moment can actually be embedded into your settings website. And the reason for that is so that children don't have to remember the logo, they don't have to remember who we are, what our name is. It's just there for them within their school's website. So you can embed that, and if you do want to do that, just send us an email. I'll leave our contact details at the end of the presentation. You can just send us an email and we'll talk you through how to do that. It is a really simple and a really useful thing to do. So at CEOP, we run an education programme called Think You Know, which aims to empower and protect children and young people from sexual abuse and exploitation online through education. And part of our programme is also supporting parents and professionals and giving them the confidence and resources to help tackle online sexual abuse as well. Hopefully some of you may already recognise our logo, or you may have seen one of our videos or animations, or even used one of our resources within your lessons as well. Our programme covers more typical online safety education for children. So for example, we look at online safety things such as not sharing of personal information, setting strong passwords, but it also includes those broader topics around relationships, sex and the internet as well. Our programme is progressive through the age range. So in the younger age range, we aim to build those sort of initial knowledge and skills around online safety in an age appropriate way, which then serves as building blocks for developing further knowledge as the children grow up and get older. So just to illustrate that a little bit, for our younger age group, in one of our resources, we look at topics around sharing images. We look at always asking for consent before you share an image of somebody online, always asking for permission, always asking an adult before you share something online. And with the older age range, we also have a resource that looks at sharing images, but it looks at sharing images within the context of consensual and non-consensual nude image sharing or sexting as well. So they all sort of follow a similar theme and are progressive through the age range, but they are all age appropriate. Each of our resources are developed in response to NCA threat intelligence and the latest research. We do also do a lot of direct engagement with children, parents and carers themselves to test our resources. And we also consult expert partners with non-government organisations, academics. So a lot of people do contribute to the resources that we put out. So just to go into a little bit more detail about our specific resources for primary age. So for children aged 4 to 10, our resources are built around 2 animated film series, and these are Jessie and Friends for age 4 to 7-year-olds and Play Like Share for 8 to 10-year-olds. So both of these resources include the animations, but also lesson plans with activities and guidance on how to deliver the lessons as well. And they are both accredited by the PSHE Association as well. So both of these animations explore popular activities which are associated with this age group. So we look at things like watching videos online, playing games online. As I mentioned before, we look at sharing images. And it also includes more IT specific content such as I said before, keeping personal information safe, setting strong passwords, never sharing personal information, things like that. We do also have an online game for 8 to 10-year-olds, which is called Ban Runner, and you can find that on our 8 to 10-year-olds website. And that's a fun game which uses the characters from the Play Like Share animations and puts children's knowledge of online safety to the test in a fun, interactive game online. So that's always quite a good one to use with this age group as well, to cement some of the knowledge that they might have already learned in the lessons that you're doing. So the animations, lesson plans and games also aim to give children the skills and knowledge to identify any signs of manipulative, threatening or pressuring behaviour online, and helps them to respond safely to somebody who might be doing this, and understand our key message for this age group, which is to always tell a trusted adult if they see or hear anything online that makes them feel worried, scared, uncomfortable. And that really is our key message for this age group within online safety. Is, we are massive advocates of parental controls and privacy settings, but we really want to sort of express our messages really talking to children from a younger age about online safety, talk to them about what they're doing online, what games they like to do, what videos they like to watch, and just reinforce that message that if anything happens online that makes them feel worried, scared or sad, to tell a trusted adult, to be able to identify a trusted adult and to be able to tell them and seek help, and that they will always receive non-judgmental and calm support if they're to do that. So we do also have a separate parents and carers website, which contains a wealth of advice articles and videos to support parents and carers to help keep their children safer online. So we have lots of reactive articles, such as what to do if something has already happened to your child online, but also preventative, more general online safety advice, such as I mentioned, setting parental controls, setting privacy settings, and of course, how to have that conversation with your child around online safety. So as I mentioned previously, our remit within the education team is specifically online sexual abuse. We don't currently have an NCA-wide education programme on cybersecurity like we do for online sexual abuse. But having said that, over the lockdown period, our team did run a campaign called #OnlineSafetyAtHome. And as part of that, we did do some work in conjunction with the National Cybersecurity Centre, where we put together some family activity sheets on cybersecurity that parents and carers can do with their children at home to help keep them safer. And these are available still on our parents and carers website. So please do signpost these to the parents and carers that you engage with if you feel that that would be something useful to them. So if you are looking for any more support from CEOP, please do register for a free Think You Know account. Here you can take a look at all the resources that we have to offer across the age range and download them for use in your settings. You'll also receive regular email engagements from us, which will give you lots of updates on our current resources and just some general information about what's going on in the world of online safety at the moment. So that can just really help you keep up to date with everything going on. You can also sign up for a CEOP ambassador course. So we run a sort of train the trainer course for professionals working with children and young people. It's a full day course, which is online at the moment, and it covers 6 different modules. So we look at online sexual abuse, we look at CEOP reporting in more detail, we cover our resources in more detail, we look at what children and young people are doing online. And the idea is that once you complete the ambassador course, you will then be a CEOP ambassador and you can go on and train other colleagues within your setting as well. We also have our Keeping Children Safe Online e-learning, which was developed in conjunction with the NSPCC. So this learning aims to give you the skills to act appropriately and confidently when dealing with online safeguarding issues. So do take a look at that if that's something that you would like a bit more support with. The UK Council for Internet Safety Education Working Group, which is something that we chair at CEOP, have also relatively recently produced a document called Education for a Connected World. And this is a framework which describes the digital knowledge and skills that children and young people should have the opportunity to develop at different ages and stages of their lives. So it looks at what they should know in terms of current online technology, its influence on behaviour and development, and what skills they need to be able to navigate it. And this framework is actually mapped to the curriculum, the UK curriculum, including the IT curriculum. So if you are looking for information or lesson planning ideas, then do take a look at that as well. You can find that on the UK Council for Internet Safety website. And then finally, as I mentioned previously, we have done a little bit of work recently with the NCSC, the National Cybersecurity Centre, and they are in the process at the moment of developing some new resources. So we will be sharing those with our network. So do keep an eye out for information on that, and we will let you know when we know a bit more. So that's it really. That's a bit of a whistle-stop tour of the education team and our resources for primary age. Our email address is on the screen, so if you do have any questions after this, or you would like to get that report button embedded into your organisation's website, please do send us an email and we would be happy to sort that out for you.
We have a couple of questions. One's from Rachel. She says, with the CLIXYOP report button, do you have many random or unimportant reports made, i.e. children sort of testing out the system?
Yes, we do. That is one of the issues with the reporting function. But what happens is once a report comes through is that the child protection advisor will risk assess that report. So there are, when a child or young person makes a report, there are quite a few questions that they have to go through and before they submit that report about what's happened. And their child protection advisor will review that and will then either categorise the report from low to high risk. And some of those, we do get a lot of those low risk reports. We have a lot of children that might send in a report because they're concerned about something like online bullying, for example, or fake accounts, and that will then be classed as a low risk report. And unfortunately, we're not able to respond to those low risk reports at the moment. If we do have a high risk report come through, then that child protection advisor will always contact that child or young person and make sure that, and speak to them on the phone and make sure that they're safe. So yes, so we do have that problem sometimes.
Thank you. We have a couple of other questions or comments, but I think as we're a little bit over time, Rosie, we'll see if we've got time at the end, if we may, and we can always pick those up online afterwards. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Welcome everyone. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here and for Ian and myself to share Go Bubble School with all of you. A bit of personal background first of all. I was a sergeant in the police and have worked within the arena of online safety and digital citizenship now for 15-16 years. Go Bubble at its core is a safer, healthier and kinder digital community for schools, completely free, and essentially as a platform it's there to support and embed social emotional learning. It's very much there to support digital citizenship and the online safety lessons, which we just heard from Rosie that you can use other resources for. But within Go Bubble, it gives an authentic community for the students to be able to come in and create their own content within a walled garden. Go Bubble was set up because, as we've heard, 78% of primary school age children use social media, 24% have been contacted by unknown adults and strangers, and then also research has shown that on average 11 teaching days are lost every year from schools having to deal with external social media issues that are then brought into school. So at Go Bubble, working with teachers, we basically thought, okay, there has to be a way to resolve this and to make this better and to improve the situation. I'm going to hand over to Ian in a very short while just to explain. Ian, as a head teacher, uses Go Bubble across his school, and he is going to be far better than me talking about the impact for teachers and how to use it within lesson time. But one of the things that I do want to touch on deliberately is a bit of the software that works in the background behind Go Bubble. So all of the content that the children share and post is checked automatically by our moderation software before it appears. So deliberately, it's there to address and pick up on any issues before they appear, as opposed to problems occurring, or as opposed to putting the burden onto teachers to do the moderation. So it does that automatically for you. Obviously that saves teachers valuable time and very much again helps to create that authentic, friendly environment for the kids, which actually in some schools has seen children stop using Snapchat, Instagram and TikTok in favor of having Go Bubble because that's where their friends are. I'll hand over now to Ian, who can introduce himself and who can explain a bit more about how he's been using Go Bubble in his school. And in the spirit of the Home Office briefings, Ian will tell me when he wants the next slide up.
Yes, I will. Thank you very much indeed, Henry. And my name's Ian Rocky. I'm head teacher of Westwood with Iford Primary School. We've been using GoBubble almost since its inception. It's a fantastic platform for children for many reasons, really. First and foremost, it teaches children the safe use of social media right from the very beginning, right from their early years, right from the early stages. We can teach children how to use social media, very much along the ideas of think before we post. Think about what we're posting, making sure it's kind, good use of language, so that we're keeping things really, really appropriate online. So that actually then when we build these online relationships and we build these online communities together, that they are really, really positive and they're really, really friendly, whether we're doing them in school or whether we're working on GoBubble outside of school as well. And those friendship circles become really, really, really enriched. Really straightforward, so straightforward and accessible for all ages. I mean, we use it from reception paired with a year 1 child and from year 1 upwards. It is that easy to use because now the guys at GoBubble have really listened to feedback and they've made it as easy as possible. So now all you need is a code to log in and to get started on GoBubble. And that has made it really, really straightforward, particularly for us as teachers. We haven't got a lot of time. So it's going to be getting in there as quickly as possible and getting some work done. Next slide, please. Thank you very much. So engagement obviously is key. And there's nothing better than GoBubble to engage the students in the activities that we're trying to provide. As I said, year 1 upwards, really easy to promote and really easy to teach. Get them logging in straight away. They are off and running. The group option is fantastic because you've got a group discussion which you can set up, you can keep an eye on, and also you can kind of dictate what's going to be said. And give the children the opportunity to keep it focused. And that's a really, really good element of GoBubble because you can have some really productive and constructive discussions using GoBubble as a result of it. But also, of course, you've got the chance to interact with peers, not just from this country, but also internationally as well. And that's something that we've done a huge amount of in the time that we've been using GoBubble, and the children have thoroughly enjoyed it. Their internationalism has grown tremendously over the time. So engagement is key, but also not only in school, outside of school as well. Parents can give consent for children to use GoBubble outside of school. That's been huge. Children have, as Henry has said, gone home and chosen to use GoBubble as a result of it. Not only that, the skills that they've learnt using GoBubble, if somebody's used social media outside of school, they're far more likely to come in and tell us if something has gone wrong so that we can actually do something about it because they're being skilled in the use of safe social media. Next slide, please. Thank you, sir. So online safety lessons. Online safety obviously is at the crux of this. It's at the very heart of what we're doing. Is we're teaching all about online safety, but also there's so many other elements to this as well. GoBubble can be truly cross-curricular. We've got lessons that we've done in so many different subjects. PSHE obviously lends itself very, very nicely to it, but I've also used Canva, which is a great free opportunity and an app for teachers. You can create some lovely graphics, you can post them in. I've done 100-word challenge pieces of writing. I've done response to these kind of questions. We've had some really, really good discussions as a result of those. So if you fancy that, get yourself a Canva account, get signed up. So easy to create these lovely graphics, and again, really, really time effective. We've done things like Christmas around the world, sharing Christmas in the different countries of GoBubble users from around the world. We've done World Book Day, we've done Messages of Hope, we've linked up far and wide in the many countries across the globe. And it's been amazing the amount of free resources that the team at GoBubble have continued to add in. I mean, you can see the slide on the screen there. Something 4 days of the week, but also the staff room provides a wealth of opportunity, not just for discussion, but also for resources as well. Tuesday tunes, amazing. I mean, if you want to get down, Tuesday's the day, absolutely incredible. Yeah, it's something you really want to get involved with, but also competitions. So we talk about engagement. Competitions are there also to really get the children and the staff excited. GoBubble is a really fantastic platform as a school to use to get children thinking about social media, being safe online, but most of all, thinking positively and posting positively. Henry, back to you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed, Ian. As you can see, Ian's enthusiasm is infectious. And we feel blessed to work not just with Ian, but also with more than 1,700 schools in the 68 countries which are registered to use GoBubble. GoBubble, the moderation software that I mentioned in the background, which powers GoBubble, will moderate not just the text, but also the emoji, the photos, and the videos. And it does it in 14 different languages in real time to help you. One of the big strands that we have within GoBubble, there are 3 key ones. We aim to be safer, healthier, and kinder. So safer, as we've mentioned about how that works. Healthier, we switch off at night, even if a parent has given consent to use it. Also, as Rosie mentioned, unlike other social platforms, we do not entice or send children down a rabbit hole to keep them online for longer. There's no autoplay of videos. There's no continual content that's shown to them to keep them online. We actually prefer kids to go offline, to live their lives, to play with Lego, do crafts, play sports, and then come back and share that in GoBubble, but go off and spend time offline first. The third strand that we have, so safer, healthier, and kinder. So this is one of the big pushes for us, and head teachers, and Ian, I'm sure you'll testify to this as well, have actually seen an improvement in children's offline mood and also a reduction in offline bullying since having GoBubble in their school. And that's because at the heart of GoBubble, we reward the likes that children give, not the likes they get. So the kinder they are, the higher their score. It's World Kindness Day this Friday. It's Anti-Bullying Week next week. We actually have a campaign at the moment that's running within GoBubble called Go Kind, where we're asking children to share their acts of kindness that they're doing offline in GoBubble. And that's running as a global project at the moment. Ian mentioned about how easy it is to get started. When a school registers for the first time, we carry out 7 security checks to prove that they are a school. When we're happy that they are, we authorize that account. That generates a unique 6-digit code for that school, and you can then share out the same code to colleagues, to children, and to parents for them to be able to come and join up. The system builds everything else out for you to save you time. There is also lots of resources and materials within the platform to help you as well as the team supporting us. And Ian, I think as you, again, you'll testify to, is the community of GoBubble teachers on Twitter who are always there to help as well.
Yeah, very much so.
So that's GoBubble. As you mentioned at the start, it's free to join as well. So it's there as a resource for schools to use around the world. Thank you very much.
Just one question that's come through for you from Bethan. She says, what if children post in a different language? I teach in a Welsh medium school. I think you did touch on that, but yeah.
Hi Bethan. I can share a Cymraeg. So yes, we do. Sorry, that's just shocked Ian. He didn't know that.
Look at that. Honestly, your skills are endless.
So we do moderate in Welsh as well. So we moderate in 14 different languages, and that's in real time, and not just for the written word, but also for the audio. So to give an example, Christmas last year, there was a boy, Christmas Day, had his mum's iPad. He's filming a 5-minute video in GoBubble. There's the tree, there's the presents, walking around. Near the end of the video, drops mum's iPad by mistake. It goes tumbling through the air because you can see the camera going all over the place. Before it hits the ground, I won't say the words, but said a word that he shouldn't say. And our system picked up on that one word out of a 5-minute video and stopped it straight away and said, nope, we're not letting that one through. And just like a traffic lights, the red and the amber messages that are stopped in that way come through to our team to moderate. You have visibility for safeguarding, so you can see what's been stopped. You can see that we've moderated it, and you have that visibility because, again, at the core of everything we do, it's the safety of the child, it's the safety of the school, and saving you time.
Hello everyone, really lovely to meet you all virtually. My name is Megan and I'm Head of Partnerships at Parentzone. We are the experts in digital family life. Some of you might be familiar with our work through Being to Edgen specifically, so this is a project that I'm going to walk you through, but we do lots of other work with CLIXYOP, for example, on Parent Info website. We have a lovely membership program, so hopefully you might be already familiar with us. But the reason I'm here today is to talk a bit more about our Be Internet Legends program. And again, some of you hopefully might already be familiar with or have interacted with the program since its launch in March 2018. Thanks, Will. So just to recap then, Be Internet Legends is an educational programme that empowers younger children aged between 7 and 11 and their families to use the web more safely and wisely so they can be confident explorers of the online world. Be Internet Legends is a resilient-based programme, so it takes into account everything that we want children to do and flourish online. We did a lot of work with experts in making sure that all of the messaging would be beneficial and appropriate for this particular age group. And we have lots and lots of different resources for the multiple audiences that the programme caters for. But the main audience is those 7 to 11, so our Key Stage 2 aged primary school children. Lovely. So this slide then just demonstrates the sort of evolution of Be Internet Legends. As I mentioned, it launched in March 2018, and since then we've had coverage within over 70% of all primary schools across the UK. Before we actually started developing Be Internet Legends as its current iteration, we went to young people themselves and asked them if we were to develop a new online safety programme that would be principally taught to them by their teachers, what sort of messaging and themes would they wanted to cover? The overwhelming response was that they wanted a programme that really took into account all the positives of going online, rather than having the do's and don'ts and the kind of rules and tools approach that they were quite used to, but didn't really have much resonance with their lived experiences online. We then took all of that work and collaborated with a selection of experts, which is something that we continue to do as part of the programme. Those, for example, who are represented from the DFE, CLIXYOP, the Oxford Internet Institute, child psychologists, just to make sure that all of the messaging and the content that we would include would, of course, respond to that feedback, but would be rooted in evidence and, of course, appropriate for this age group. We then took all of that work back to the schools we originally went to and then developed the curriculum pack, which is really kind of the shining star of the whole programme alongside the PSHE Association. Thanks, Will. So this is the Be Internet Legends code and what we refer to as the 5 pillars of the programme. These 5 pillars really form kind of the underbelly of the whole Be Internet Legends programme and all of the elements that we offer. So you've got Be Internet Sharp, think before you share, Be Internet Alert, check it's for real, Be Internet Secure, protect your stuff, Be Internet Kind, respect each other, and Be Internet Brave, when in doubt, discuss. The first 3 pillars here are your skills-based pillars, and the last 2 are your behavioural-based pillars. And this, again, is something that makes Be Internet Legends quite unique or stands out from perhaps other online safety programmes you might be using, and that it combines both of these different kind of learning and skill sets. And that's something that we felt was really, really important in terms of what we wanted to teach children in order to be Internet Legends. It's all about what we want them to be, the behaviours and skill sets that we want them to tap into and adopt in all range of scenarios they might find themselves in online. Thanks, Will. So this slide then just gives you a quick glimpse into all of the different elements of the programme. And of course, we've taken a really large pivot this year in terms of making sure that all of this support is available online. But just to walk through, first off, we have our curriculum pack, which is the PSHE accredited resource I mentioned earlier, and our digital wellbeing module. Those 2 resources are available for primary school teachers across the country to order for free. We also have the curriculum available in Welsh for any Welsh medium schools, and that's something that has the lesson plans in there, activities, differentiation activities, etc., everything that you would expect to find in a curriculum. And that's really designed to complement the existing work that you might already be doing as part of your computing programme of study. It's not designed to be the be-all and end-all of your kind of online safety work, but really to complement other resources that you might be using in this area. Second, we have the RSE pack for teachers, and that was actually launched in June this year, as obviously the RSE strand of the curriculum now is something that's something you might be already embedding in this new school term, but of course has been extended to April 2021 as mandatory. And that resource is really designed to assist you in your planning of that new curriculum and really links up all of the areas within the Be Internet Legends programme that help you meet those new statutory requirements. The digital wellbeing module, for example, is something that's really, really quite relevant for this particular new area of study because it talks about what it is to have a healthy relationship online, for example, and what you can do to make sure you're staying in control of online communication. We then have lots and lots of different resources and activities for parents. One thing actually that we're launching tomorrow, which is again something for parents, which I'll talk about later on. But we have online digital drop-in sessions that are delivered on YouTube, which is designed for parents to learn a bit more about what the BeanTech Legends programme is. And they take on specific focuses that parents have told us they're really quite concerned about. So next week's theme, for example, to mark Anti-Bullying Week is on cyberbullying. And again, we can share more information on those if you would like to join and promote those amongst your school community. Interland is the online game that Google have developed as part of this programme to really infuse children in the kind of wider messaging of BeanTech Legends, but also to provide teachers a really lovely, interactive, engaging resource to use in classrooms. Of course, it's a really lovely resource as well that you can promote for children to play at home with their parents. So do check that out. It is educational as well as fun, and each area of Interland corresponds with a particular pillar of the programme. So it really helps consolidate learning that you might have already kind of covered in, say, the Internet Sharp or the Internet Alert. And then last but not least, bringing the Internet Legends to life. So of course, pre-COVID, we did lots of work face-to-face in schools and in other settings across the country to really infuse and kind of kick off lots of different audiences kind of interaction with BeanTech Legends. The highlight of those is our online, our assemblies. We used to deliver lots and lots of those in primary schools up and down the country, and we have taken those online now, so we're delivering them live on YouTube, and they're a really, really fun, high energy kick-off into what it is to be Internet Legend. So if you would like one of those for your school, then do let me know, because we have some slots left for the end of the year. Thanks, Will. And this is just the curriculum pack, which I wanted to walk through in a bit more detail, because it's designed to really suit a lot of different teacher needs and kind of what you might already be doing in this particular area. So as I mentioned, this is our PSHE accredited resource, and you've got your lesson plans in there, 2 of them for each pillar except for Brave. The reason why we don't have any lesson plans attached to Be Internet Brave is because we didn't want that to work in silo from any of the other pillars. And really to echo the kind of prior presentations here today, is that we always want children to speak out and be internet brave if they come across something that kind of worries or concerns them. And so we didn't want that to be a kind of separate strand of learning, and that instead should be interwoven within all of the other pillars. So that pillar instead provides you with some key discussion points that you can raise in other areas of the children's learning to make sure that you're reinforcing that message. Then you then got a pillar summary and activities, and that's really at the front of the curriculum pack. This part of the curriculum gives you a real kind of intro into each particular pillar, what that pillar is about, the key messaging, etc., the outcomes and objectives that you can find with the lessons attached to that pillar, and then the activities that you can use to start introducing that topic. The activities are really designed for you to drop in, perhaps to any other online safety lessons you've already got planned, also as standalone activities as well. You've got support worksheets, which are again attached to particular activities that we've scoped out and are really nice to use with your SEND, or maybe children who've got English as a digital language. They're really nice to use as one-to-ones. And then last but not least, of course, as I mentioned, our digital wellbeing module, which is a separate pack from the overall curriculum. But if you do order your curriculum, you get the digital wellbeing module as part of that. Again, it's structured in exactly the same way as a curriculum. You have 2 lesson plans per age group, and again, some lovely activities within there that you can use to start introducing that particular topic with your pupils. Thanks, Will. So this is the introductory chapter to each pillar, which I just want to go into a bit more detail, because this is kind of everything really that gives you more of a sense of what each pillar is about and how you can start embedding it in your own setting. So this is where you can find kind of everything that you would expect from a lesson plan, the objectives, outcomes, assessment opportunities, etc. Key vocab, which is really nice for cross-curricular learning, and then the activities. If you then want more of a template or a framework to actually follow, then that's when you can go back to the lesson plans at kind of the end of the curriculum. Thanks, Will. And just to go into a bit more detail about digital wellbeing, so this is something that we launched late last year as part of the programme. And again, this stemmed from our expert consultation as something that was really important for children of this particular age group to be aware of. In the context of COVID, this has been something that teachers have told us has been a real important resource for them, especially when thinking about all of the breadth of new online experiences that children might have developed while being at home for a lot longer than they usually would be. So this particular module gives you 2 lesson plans catered for the lower and upper key stage 2 age range, and the activities which are all about kind of helping pupils to better understand their tech usage, focus on what matters most, disconnect when needed, and create healthy habits. It's really important to note that we don't specify what digital wellbeing means, because it's really subjective and contextual for every single person, and that in itself is a really key learning in this particular module. Thanks, Will. This is again a bit more info on the RSE resource again, which I mentioned earlier, which is designed to assist you in your planning of the BeamTech Legends in your own setting, and again aligns it with not only the computing programme of study, but keeping children safe in education as well. So some really, really lovely, again, resources for you to download and spread amongst your colleagues if you would find that useful. Thanks, Will. And then this is just a bit more information on all the other activities and resources that I mentioned earlier. So this is a clip into one of our live stream assemblies for primary schools. We're delivering 400 in these this quarter, so since September, so really large scale part of the programme. And if you haven't already, would love you to have one if your school's of course interested. They're really, really lively moment for schools to get involved with the programme and to really introduce their children into what it means to be in Tech Legend. So if you would like one, then please follow that URL on the bottom right hand corner. Thanks, Will. More information activities for parents. This is our dedicated parent website again, which has loads of activities that you can promote to your parents and carers if again you would like to enthuse them about this particular programme. It's also a really nice website to share if you do choose to start introducing the lesson plans and activities, etc. in your setting. Thank you, Will. These are the live stream sessions for parents, which I mentioned, our digital drop-in sessions. This is our lovely expert trainer, Chelsea. You can see there on the left-hand side, who kind of walks through what the BeamTech Legends programme is all about, why it's important, and then she goes on to more specific concerns that parents might have around their children's use of online. So cyberbullying is one, sharing personal information is another, and protecting personal information online as well is another theme that we've got going on. Thank you, Will. And the Legends Family Adventure, hurrah! So this is something that's a really, really new addition to the programme. It's actually launching tomorrow, not today. It's 3 short animations that have been developed by Google and Aardman, the people behind Wallace and Gromit and Shaun the Sheep, and they're a really, really lovely resource to use and promote to parents. It follows a journey of family into Interland, and they learn kind of key online safety messages as they go through their journey, and it's really designed to enthuse families and of course schools in the programme a bit more. So please do get involved. We're running a competition for schools alongside the challenge, the adventure as well, where you could win some lovely prizes for your school. So do follow that URL on the bottom right hand side of my screen if you would like one.
Okay, good afternoon everybody. My name is John Chippendall, and I'm really excited to be sharing with you this afternoon a bit of a sneak peek, a bit of a teaser about what's coming up from Barefoot, coming soon, hopefully landing for the new year, for the spring term, which is a set of cyber security resources. So in the short talk I'm going to do this afternoon, I'm just going to talk about why, what and how, why we've created the resources, what the resources are going to look like so you know what's coming, and how to access the resources. And in that final stage, how to access the resources, I might sneak in some another plug on some other Barefoot resources that have just been released as well. So that's what I want to talk about. So starting with the why, these resources have been developed in partnership with the National Crime Agency and the National Cyber Security Centre. And we started sort of with conversations, chatting to both these organisations, and particularly looking at a report that came out from the NCA a couple of years ago, called Pathways into Cybercrime. You can find this document if you Google it. And there were sort of some key themes that when you read through this document that emerge. And what they did here is they interviewed offenders of cybercrime, or those at risk of offending, and with the idea of working out, well, how did they arrive at this situation, the poor choices they perhaps made, and had gone down this route of perhaps ending up committing cybercrimes. And there was 3 sort of main themes that came out that we wanted to then start looking at within the resources. One was that often the offenders, particularly young offenders or those that had come close to offending, were kind of unsure about the law with computing. So they didn't really realise when their activities were transitioning from legal to illegal. They also often didn't see their crimes, didn't see the victim on the other end. They believe these crimes are sort of victimless crimes and unaware of the impact of them. And also those that had been at risk of offending, who had gone on to pursue legitimate careers in cybersecurity, for example, kind of made reference to positive role models in helping them to make that decision. So through discussions and thinking about this, we've developed these set of resources, and there are kind of two key themes. There's kind of two perspectives on what we're looking at here. We're talking about cybercrime. What is it? Who are the victims? What's the law around working with computers? And we're talking about cybersecurity careers. What is cybersecurity? What types of jobs are there in cybersecurity? And how do you become a cybersecurity expert? So in some ways, and I've put this in italics, a simple kind of division here is don't do this, go and do this instead. So for those pupils that do have that kind of lovely natural curiosity to find out if they can get into things or if they can alter things, don't go down the route of doing that on the wrong side of the law, because look at all these fantastic careers that there are out there in the world of cybersecurity. And if you're thinking perhaps, oh, you know, for the age range for primary school pupils, or we wouldn't have primary school pupils doing anything that they shouldn't, it's interesting to learn that in talking to these offenders, they can often track back where they started to hear about the ideas of hacking into things or doing attacks on websites in game modding forums. They start off by thinking, oh, I want to modify this game to give me godlike features of characters, so I'm invincible, and they learn how to do that. And there's often in those forums where they might start to then talk to people who are suggesting more sinister things. So this is important for the primary age pupils that we work with to start talking to them about it. And like all Barefoot resources, everything's mapped to the curriculum as well. So in the resources, we cover computational thinking concepts and approaches, and the Key Stage 1 and 2 resources both map to sort of digital literacy parts of the curriculum, and with Key Stage 2, it also brings in some programming as well. So that's kind of the why. Let's talk about the what. So I'm just going to give you a quick sneak peek. Now, all these screenshots are of the wireframe presentations. They haven't gone through our usual Barefoot design processes yet, so they won't come out looking this bland. They will come out looking lovely and jazzy. But just to give you an idea of what is coming, we have 2 lessons for Key Stage 1 around ownership and permission, and we move from initially talking to pupils about kind of concrete things in the real world around them, that they understand whose coat is that, who owns the school, or who owns that bag, etc. And then we transition them through to the idea of ownership of digital assets, and link through the idea of having permission to use or to share, etc. We've got a lovely song which I am not going to try singing in lesson 2, which is called Do the Right Thing, and it is sung in rounds in the same way that London's Burning Tune is sung as well. So that's our Key Stage 1 lessons. And then for lower Key Stage 2, we're focusing on educating pupils about the Computer Misuse Act. And the way we do that is we get them to set up their classroom as a courtroom, and we have an introduction from a QC, Jamie Riley, who welcomes them to their classroom courtroom, and some of them take on the role of barrister, some of them take on the role of defendant, and the rest are jury, and they learn about the Computer Misuse Act by carrying out drama in their classroom courtroom and working out whether or not a number of different defendants have indeed broken the law. So I thought it'd be quite fun to just run through one of these cases now and see if we can get a consensus on guilty or not guilty. So this is defendant 2. Now, at the moment, Will, I can't see the chats or the questions that are coming through. So if I just read this out and then get people to send through whether they think guilty or not guilty, and you can give me a shout what we've got coming through, if that's okay. If there's one, greater proportion of guilty or not guilty, let me know.
Will do.
Cool, super. So here we go. Defendant, hello, Your Honour, and ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I can tell you straight away that I am not guilty, as I have never hacked into an account. Barrister, okay, but have you ever made a computer program that could hack into websites? Yes, but only because I wanted to know if I could. I made this program once which tries to get into businesses' websites to find people's private information. I didn't use it though, so it's okay. I'd never use it as I know that that's wrong. Barrister, did you give this program to anyone? Yeah, I sold it to a couple of people. I heard one of the people I sold it to used it to steal thousands of people's bank details, but that wasn't me, so it's okay. I'm just really interested in computing, and I wanted to know if I could make it. I didn't want to hurt anyone. I rest my case, Your Honour. So, are they guilty or not guilty? Pop your, because they didn't actually hack anything. Pop your answers in the either the questions or the chat, whichever it is easiest to send it through. And Will, if you can let me know what we've got coming through.
The verdict from the jury is unanimous. It is guilty. We've even got a section 3A of the Computer Misuse Act being quoted as well.
Who's that come through from?
That's from one of our David, one of our attendees.
Yeah, spot on, David. Yeah. So I pulled this one out because it's a little bit different in that the defendant here hasn't actually hacked anything themselves, but it is illegal to create or supply, I can't remember the exact wording, create or supply any program which can then be used or with the intent to be used to hack. So that's just one example. I think it's a really nice activity. All of the examples that we provide are taken actually from real cases, but just tweaked slightly to be appropriate for pupils. So, for example, one of the cases, someone was actually convicted over in Liverpool not so long ago because he's a university student and he hacked into his tutor's account on the university system and basically changed his grades. And he's convicted for that. And so we've done a tweak of that and put it into a primary setting. The pupils would understand test results exactly rather than university. But yeah, that is the lower Key Stage 2 lessons. They then also go on to make an advert about the Computer Misuse Act, deterring others from breaking the law, and then to introduce the upper Key Stage 2 resource. I'm probably not going to get people to send in because I'm just conscious of time here, but just have a think to yourself, if you had didn't have a set of bolt cutters to hand and you had plenty of time, how would you go about cracking this lock? So it's a combination lock. What's your algorithm? So I will just pause and take a drink of juice whilst people wonder what they might do. And you're probably thinking to yourself, no, I'll try every number. And if you had written that, I would say, well, be more specific. This is an algorithm. So it might be you start at 001, 002, 003, or perhaps you try some possible popular combinations first, like 123 or 000 or 999. But there is ultimately an algorithm to crack this physical lock in the real world. The trouble is it would just take an age, which is why essentially these locks are effective, the time that it takes to find the combination. If you have all the time in the world, these locks are completely ineffective. But what we talk to pupils about in the upper Key Stage 2 lessons, which are called You're the Cyber Security Expert, is that the idea in a digital space, you can actually write a program to test all those combinations in a very short space of time. And this approach to essentially hacking into PIN numbers or passwords is called a brute force hack. And what we are illustrating to pupils here is that in order to defend themselves from these methods that are used by cyber criminals, they really need to understand the why behind the what, which is what I'm trying to get at here with this big why with the what in front of it. Because we're often telling pupils what to do. You know, your password should be at least 8 characters. But it's really powerful when you explain the why. And by doing it in this way and getting them to actually build a program in Scratch, which will brute force hack a PIN number that another pupil has set within it, we can illustrate to them why this is important. And on this, it's a really interesting point that, going back to that first slide about don't do this, do this, the knowledge that's required by the cyber criminals is the same knowledge that's required by the cybersecurity experts to protect against these methods. So we are just trying to encourage these pupils to make the right choices if they are interested in this stuff. Look at all these really interesting careers that are out there, which is why within the resources, peppered throughout the resources, we've got interviews with cybersecurity experts such as Jenny from the BBC. This is actually a screenshot of an interview that she did for me on a different thing earlier this year, but she's going to feature in one of the videos talking about her role. We've got people from cybersecurity centres. Jenny works more in translating the technical risks into training for staff within organisations. But it's just really highlighting to pupils the world of cybersecurity careers that are out there. So I hope that has got you interested and excited about accessing these resources when they come out. Just to share with you for the last minute or so how to go about accessing them. Everything Barefoot puts out, if you don't already know, is free. So if you aren't already a member of Barefoot, please go to barefootcomputing.org and just click register, pop in your details and sign up. I'm obviously already a member here, so I can log in. These resources that are going to be coming out are going to add to the set of the huge set of resources that we already have available within the Barefoot website, which you can access by going to sorry, I've forgotten where I was going there, and I'm actually currently off on paternity leave, so this is really nice to have a break from changing nappies, but obviously I'm forgetting where I'm going. So you go into my resources and you can scroll down here and you can see all of the different resources that are available. So they will be appearing in here in the new year. And just to finish, as an opportunity to plug some of our new resources that have just come out in the last few days, we have our lovely EYFS resources. We've got Boats Ahoy and Busy Bodies, both for developing computational thinking within the early years setting. And we've also got a guidance document talking about computational thinking within EYFS as well.
Welcome everybody. I'm DC Dawnwood. I'm from the Met Police, part of the Cyber Choices programme. Cyber Choices is led by the National Crime Agency, and it's a national programme that's recently been developed basically to assist in the fight against cybercrime. Cyber Choices, we seek to intervene and educate individuals who may be vulnerable to committing cyber criminality or have first come to notice for committing offences under the Computer Misuse Act. Our main focus really is identifying those individuals and adults with skills, good computer skills, and deterring them away from committing criminality. The programme basically is national. It's led by the Regional Unorganised Crime Units, ROCUs for short, or the local police force cyber teams. Here within London, within the Met, the Cyber Choices team, we're based in our cybercrime unit at Vauxhall. Oh, apologies, that's jumped a slide. One of our key aims, very much gearing what John had just mentioned, is our focusing around the legislation that we have. And obviously within law, we have the Computer Misuse Act of 1990. It's been amended and added to, obviously, over the years, but it covers the 5 main sections, which is section 1, 2, 3, 3ZA and 3A. You will find most of the legislation is centred around sort of authorisation, for example, obviously permission. As we know, technology is growing at an alarming pace, and children are ever being exposed younger and younger to a digital footprint. As children grow and develop their IT skills, now whether that's within the classroom or at home, it's really vital that they have some knowledge around what is legal to keep themselves within the legal boundaries of the law. I just want to elaborate just on a couple of the sections. These are just 2 that we sort of come across quite regularly with younger individuals who we come into contact with. Section 1, which is unauthorized access with computer material. If we break this down, if you cause a computer to perform a function, for example, you might want to look at something. Oh, sorry, apologies. My PowerPoint's been slightly temperamental. You might want to look at something, maybe open a document, read it, print something off, forward it, or even delete it. But you know that you don't have that permission. You shouldn't do it. It's not yours. It's not your system. This is a clear example of an offence against Section 1. So to give you sort of an everyday example of this, somebody finds it's around a friend's house and they see them enter their username and password, maybe to a social media account, something like that. They remember their login details, and without their permission, later on they go on and look at their private message. This is quite a simple thing, happens quite a lot, but it is an offence under Section 1 under the legislation. And secondly, Section 3, which is unauthorised action with access, within the intent to impair or with the recklessness to impair the operation of a computer. Breaking this down a bit like before, you've got that unauthorized access, but you want to make changes to the normal running of the computer, slow it down, stop it, change a function, for example. It could be something that you do yourself, or it could be that you use an online tool or piece of software or hardware to impair it. This is quite a regular one we see. For example, you've got somebody who's playing the latest online game, the friend scores higher than them, they want to win the game, and they use something like a booter to knock them off so they go on to win the game. But this is an offence obviously under Section 3 of the Computer Misuse Act. And obviously it goes on, and there are other sections that deal with obviously more advanced and more involved hacking. Many crimes that we come across within law enforcement, quite often the idea is that they want one way or another sort of for financial gain, but that's not always the case, and especially with cyber dependent crime. It may have a financial motive, but what we do find is that it's often done to show off a person's computer skills for kudos sake. It may very well be that they want to just see a weakness in the system, curiosity, like John mentioned earlier, or even just to, gain that advantage in an online game. And the individual may not be realise what they're doing is against the law. So for me, hearing what John has just said with regards to the piece of work that they have come up with Barefoot is fantastic, because it really is looking at legislation and what people can do safely online, really from grassroots. So it's really good to see that there's some work being involved even at a younger level. We have the programme itself has 4 key aims. First of all, we want to explain the difference really between legal and illegal cyber activity. We're looking to encourage individuals to make sort of informed choices of how they use their technology, deter and obviously divert individuals away from committing cybercrime, and promoting legal and ethical cyber opportunities, which there are plenty out there. So how do we work? We work with specific individuals who may be vulnerable to be committing cyber criminality or have first come to notice for doing so. It's not a judicial disposal, because it is a voluntary program. So say, for example, if there is somebody who has an investigation for a Computer Misuse Act offence, we would not be able to work with them until that matter has been dealt with one way or another. However, say, for example, if somebody has come to notice for committing a minor offence of something else, then we could look to work with them for a cyber choices program. But it's all done on a case-by-case basis, and there's lots of checks and procedures that we go through first of all to establish that that person is ideal to work with. We start off by engaging them to establish their skill set, their cyber capabilities, what they use their skills for, life aspirations, their online influences, and really their perception of the law. We seek to have their cooperation to be part of the Cyber Choices programme, and we request they sign up to a behavioural contract. The individual, and if appropriate, their appropriate adult, will be assigned a Cyber Choices officer, and we will be in regular contact with them throughout the duration of the programme. So what is the programme? We have intervention options. We have a workshop where individuals and their parents or guardians can be invited along to a day where they can combine interactive technical experiences. There'll be industry insights, maybe, for example, from a speaker, an ex-hacktivist, and be able to guide them to use their skills both ethically and legally to basically to see if they would like to secure rewarding roles within industry further on down the line. We have a number of licenses for immersive labs. It is the world's fully first interactive on-demand gamified cyber skills platform, and you can travel through a number of different labs where you can test and challenge your skills. In addition, we've got lots of online signposting where there are platforms where people can test their IT skills, whether that's in coding, competitions, or capture the flag exercises. In development at the moment, there's the first cyber hub due to be launched hopefully in January at Barking and Dagenham College within the Institute of Technology. And this is a really exciting opportunity because it could provide IT courses and apprenticeships for the intervention programme for cyber choices. So where do you come in? Initially and individually, you will be in with the line of work that you do, you will be engaged with lots of talented young people on a day-to-day basis. So my ask really is sort of twofold. Be open to discuss the Computer Misuse Act, what it means to that eager young online enthusiast as they move along their IT development. And secondly, should you become worried about a person in your care who you feel is vulnerable to becoming engaged in cybercrime, please do think of Cyber Choices. There's an easy to use referral system for any person, whether that might be a parent, a teacher, or key worker who has concerns about a specific person. They can refer them into the programme. For London, we have an external site, which is www.met.police.uk/cyberchoices. And outside of London, obviously, because there are the regional organised crime units that deal with the rest of the country, in the first instance, you could be signposted through to cyberchoices@nca.gov.uk.
I am Sway. I was a primary school teacher for a decade. For half of that time, I was a specialist teacher for computing. I taught from EYFS all the way through to Year 6 computing. And in the last 2 years, I've been working on the National Centre for Computing Education, which is for the Raspberry Pi Foundation's part of it, around the Teach Computing curriculum. But before we get into the Teach Computing curriculum, I think like online safety is such an important thing. It's important that we consider the full scope of that curriculum. So this is a quote from Keeping Children Safe in Education, and the idea that safeguarding is everyone's responsibility, and so is online safety. And one of the things I often saw in school and working with schools is it can fall on the shoulders of a computing lead, and whilst that's maybe part of your role if you're in senior leadership, you should also be designated safeguarding leads. Other people within your school should be involved at that level as well. Now, already mentioned some bits, the downsides being last, but Education for a Connected World is a great resource. There are so many bits here. If you haven't seen the Project Evolve part of Education for a Connected World, Google Project Evolve. They've taken each of the strands and the activities for the different age groups, and they are starting to develop resources, discussion points for Education for a Connected World. And this is a great piece of work. For our curriculum, we have mapped our curriculum to this document. We don't cover it in its entirety because of the nature of the subject being we're just doing computing, whereas some of this is PSHE, some of it is SRE, and the other bits we've talked about. But it's a really useful resource that I recommend you having a look at. The other one, the government document that is an important note if you've not seen it, is called Teaching Online Safety in School, came out in June, the year before last. And we've already talked, someone's already mentioned a bit of SRE and the development of that coming in to be mandatory in schools and its role in online safety. So all of these different aspects need to be working together. It comes into SMSC, it comes into your citizenship, and it's really important that the computing part of it is just one small part of a larger body of work that you're working through. So the Teach Computing curriculum. The Teach Computing curriculum is a massive body of work. It is entirely free. It is funded by the Department for Education. And there are 500 hours, so 500 lessons, if you like, of curriculum from Key Stage 1 all the way through to Key Stage 4. From a primary, as obviously we're a primary group, there are 36 units. Every unit comes with a full set of lesson plans, progression mapping, assessment materials, homework activities if you wish to use them. It has been grounded in computing education research. We pilot it in schools, we get a lot of feedback, and we keep iterating on it. It's for the whole computing curriculum, not just online safety, but as online safety is an important part of the computing curriculum, it is in there as well. You can have a look at it. There's a short link there for ncce.io/TCC. All of it's freely available. You just need to make an account. So, the computing curriculum. Now, I'm not going to read the national curriculum to you. I'm sure you have better things to do with your evening. The important part I wanted to pull out of this one is that the national curriculum says about using technology safely. It is not just using online technology safely, it is about all technology. And I think sometimes that gets overlooked. It could be anything from how to safely carry an iPad around your school, as well as all of the other important things that we've talked about. VBOTs do not fly well, if anyone's ever tried that. So, within our resources, online safety is a strand that goes through everything that we do. We do not have a specific unit where you just go, here, I'm going to teach this unit, and that's going to be everything we need, because that we've just found in the past that doesn't work. Teachers say, you know, they do it, but they don't apply it. So whenever we are developing a unit of work, we think about how does online safety fit into this unit of work. So here on the left, this is a Key Stage 1 activity around using technology safely, and it's talking about what other things should we be doing, how can we balance all the activities we get excited about and what we get to do, and they try out different activities and then they think about what things they can plan to do with their free time when they are at school or at home. On the right hand side, as a contrast, we have got about internet communication and talking about what does and doesn't need to be shared with one person or a whole group or everyone publicly online, and that actually there are different levels of how we communicate, what we communicate, and who we need to communicate that with. You may wish to share a story that you've written online, but making arrangement with your friends, everyone in the world does not need to know your arrangements to meet with your friends. So they're just some examples of, whilst we're learning about computing systems and networks, how we build in these activities. If we look at programming strands, Key Stage 1, when they are doing some programming, they make a quiz about which animals have the most letters, or they come up with different questions for their quizzes. And again, we can think about, well, if someone gets the answer wrong, what should we say? What should we do? How can technology make someone feel if it's told to, and what role you have in that? For the Key Stage 2 programming, we've got things like when you're writing instructions in Scratch, that's publicly available. So what happens if you write something wrong, or if you see something that is not okay? How do you report it? What should you do about that? How should you react to that? As I say, all of this is embedded in the resources. You don't have to make extra curriculum time. You can just keep going through whilst you're teaching the other areas of the curriculum, the computing curriculum as well. This one, it's data and information. So it's another strand of our resources. Key Stage 1, we're looking at attributes. So we're labeling different things that a computer might collect, leading towards databases. And this is in a pictograms unit. And there's some information that we might be okay sharing, and there's some information we would be less keen on learners sharing. And so as we're going through, we talk about what information counts as private information and what information is less important. On the other side of things, we've got a database unit for Key Stage 2, and in there, that data for Mexico is incorrect. We have a talk about why might that have happened, but also what could be the consequence of having that incorrect information. Would it offend anyone? Could it be an accident? Could it be intentional? And what would be the cause of that? So that, again, we're thinking about the validity of information that we're accessing and where that comes from. For creating media, a different strand, again, we do a photography unit in Year 2, and we talk about permission, taking photos, making sure that everyone, you've thought about who's in the background, all of that sort of stuff as we're going through it. And by the time we've reached Key Stage 2, we're looking at editing images, and then not every image you see online is as it was taken. Some of them have been changed and are fake and fake news, and where that misinformation can cause problems and what we should do about it. So, real whistle-stop tour. They are just some examples I picked out at random so that I could be nice and brief for you. But throughout every unit, we have the 36 units. There are online safety. It's all listed in the unit overviews to show how we've mapped it and where it's included. Going forward, it would be great if you could have a look at the Teach Computing curriculum. We really appreciate feedback. So anything that you want to share with us, that would be great. There's an email address there to do it, and there are also lots of other opportunities and training available on the teachcomputing.org website if you go there. Thank you.
Thank you, Sway, for giving us such a quick overview of one of the best resources that I've come across this year so far. I was so happy when all the teachcomputing.org curriculum stuff came out, because we've started using it this year, and I'm absolutely loving it, especially the networking stuff about how Amazon orders work and all that. The children love those.
Is there a document that shows which objectives from education in the connected world are covered in the Teach Computing curriculum?
So in each unit overview, in each unit, there is which within that unit map to it. What we've got coming out soon, trying not to be too committee there, sorry, I know it's written but it's going through a review process at the moment, is some supporting teacher guides as a Key Stage 1 and a Key Stage 2, well, all the Key Stages documents, which will include like an overview of mapping to everything from national curriculum to Education for Connected World, as well as some other supporting materials to help teachers use the curriculum. For now, you can go to the unit overviews and find that information in each unit.
Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you to our presenters. And do check the video again anytime you want to on the CAS website. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you.